Sallyann, how is identity expressed in the metaverse generally? And of course, fashion is one such way, but. Sure.
So let's kind of just start firstly with the metaverse, just so that we're kind of all speaking about the same-ish space, because it's a big one to get your arms around, and it doesn't exist yet, and it is slightly undefined. So you know, the metaverse, as I see it and talk about it, is, you know, our digital existence, a place where you can do everything you can do in the real world, but you can also do many of the things that you can't, where there are no constrictions with concern to location or availability or physics, where we'll go for knowledge and interactions and experiences. And we'll also go there for community and for a sense of belonging. And at the moment, I'm finding that as more and more people are understanding what the metaverse is, there's a really big shift in the conversation. And it's not so much about what is the metaverse, it's about who am I in the metaverse? What does the metaverse mean for me and my identity and my digital identity? And the metaverse is going to be this incredibly rich place to be able to show your identity, to be who you want to be, because it has no constraints. And in the real world, we show our identity by how we speak, how we interact, the music we listen to, the shows we go to, our dislikes, our likes, the groups we follow, the groups we're part of, and the most overt way is through fashion. It's something that we ordain ourselves every single day, and I think that will be exactly the same in the metaverse. But it'll be super exciting because fashion in the metaverse doesn't have to have constraints of physics. It can be any material, it can be any shape, it can be any size, and so can you. So as we decide who we are in the metaverse and we begin to build our identities with all the influences around us, we are going to need the assets to do that within the metaverse, so that we can begin to create our identities and also change our identities on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. So it's a super exciting space, identity and fashion in the metaverse. It's almost boundless.
What I wanted to touch upon really was with you, Maghan, on, you know, clearly you're reporting on all the trends that are happening here and how brands are either native brands are emerging within the metaverse, or incumbents, existing brands, are trying to translate themselves into the metaverse. Like, how's that being done well, and how's it being done badly?
Well, I think the speakers here are some of the best native endemic creators and brands to the metaverse, but I think especially luxury fashion is really, they always want to be a part of culture. They want to be a part of the conversation. And as the metaverse and gaming and social media become more and more relevant to how we express ourselves, I think luxury brands are really making a point to study the space. And for the most experimental or daring brands, they are creating a presence. What I've seen is it's primarily through games so far. So Gucci and Roblox is a great example. They created a virtual world in Roblox that seemed to be pretty successful. I know there are some opinions and some tension there, as you mentioned, about how a brand shows up. But a number of brands, including Gucci, Stella McCartney, and Nike, Burberry, Chanel, Prada, Dior, Louis Vuitton, Valentino, Marc Jacobs, Balenciaga, Hermes, they've all created a game or participated or partnered with a game. So I think they are trying to be present and relevant in that conversation. As far as winners and losers, I think that's a toughie. I think any brand that is brave enough to try is a winner in my book. So I think I'm not ready to necessarily call out worst cases, but I do think the Gucci strategy has worked really well. They've appeared in a number of different games, and they're really seeing what sticks among the community. They're partnering with the endemic creators. They're not just dropping their designs in and saying this is it. They're really taking their cues from the creators, and I think that's a smart strategy.
As a luxury brand, a native luxury brand in the metaverse, you know, what is different about being a a luxury brand native to the metaverse versus an incumbent trying to come into the space?
It's really interesting, obviously, that people are copying luxury, because the question really is about luxury in and of itself and what it means. And physically, it's been understood as craft, especially in fashion. It's about quality, scarcity, and it really signifies status and a certain personality to society as well. And that's really what we're very interested in at Auroboros, but we're native to this space, so we're completely shifting that conversation of craftsmanship and elevating it through a unique experience of interlinking physical and digital. And it creates it's creating a new type of identity and understanding as well to already 1 in 10 people who are purchasing in the US purely to this for the sake of wearing that item on social media. So there already is a culture that is surrounding that desire for craftsmanship, and we can do that, whether it's with fire that uniquely grows to your avatar, or another garment that signifies something very specific, that we again at Auroboros are native to and understand the language, also having grown up playing Second Life, watching Avatar and so on.
So Alissa, again, you guys are deep in the space. How do NFTs allow for a different type of relationship between the consumer and the creator? We at Outlier often refer to it as direct, NFTs at least, allowing for direct to creator, but how do you think about that strategically as a native brand?
Well, just to quickly reference to everything that's been said today on the panel, it's just so amazing that we're finally bridging the gap between all of these different communities, whether that be fashion enthusiasts, fashion tech enthusiasts, gamers. And although we're not in the full metaverse yet, it surely will be not only mirroring, but exceeding the demand that we have for luxury and for experiences. And NFTs create this amazing space as a tool and as a vehicle for us to not only create value as product, but actually present utility. And I think that's when it's going to be more exciting, when we can actually use it as wearable pieces. For example, the AR. We also launched the AR filter at London Fashion Week, which was worn over 2.5 million times within 3 days. So there's definitely this interactivity with objects that's super exciting for people, but also creating longevity. Like if you can see the same NFT that you purchased also in your favorite game, whether that be in Fortnite and your character, or if you can take it into an open world game or dress your avatar, and so on and so on, like that's when you have even more value and longevity with NFTs. So strategically thinking about this, we can go beyond the product, more to experience and more creating a culture around the brand. Because that's what people have always been doing in terms of branding, creating an identifiable aesthetic, but also surrounding in terms of community. And in the metaverse, that can be way bigger and more exciting, that we can go straight into music, fashion, everything. There's no limit, essentially. And that's what keeps us excited as creators, but also feeding back from our community, from designers to next generation. Like we want to see those designs, we want to participate in them, and also put our money into it. Because as you were saying, it is a great investment for the future that we can partake now in the early days of the metaverse, because it's only going to be growing. It's not an if anymore, it's just soon.
We've been speaking very much about this in a virtual context, but Ben, I know at Artifact, it's important that you're bridging both the physical and the digital. You have physical versions of digital things, and maybe it's the other way around as well. Could you talk us through why that's important to you as a metaverse native brand?
I mean, it's important because like our true belief is that we're gonna all totally shift towards like a mainly digital wardrobe, and that we'll have a lot more digital assets that we value a lot more than our physical lives, but we're not there yet, right? So in the meantime, it's cool, and we always say that we really treat the physicals, while most of the fashion brands are doing 99% of physical work, and anything they do digitally is to feed that physical business they have. Us is the opposite. We do 99% digital work, and we have 1% that's here to up the value of the brand, and it's more like a brand differentiator, because our thing is to merge worlds, right? And if you want to merge worlds, you need to do a bit of both. And what we think is cool is that when someone's get the NFT, and then you can have, extract value from that NFT. What we do is these forging events that happens every 6 months, where you have the same NFT that's gonna give you, extra gifts and, extra collectibles. It could be NFTs, but it could also be physicals. And we find it super cool because, sneakers, it's still a big thing in the real world. Lots of people collect them, and also as the world is reopening, it's a status item, and it's also a community item. Like I think when a lot of people started to receive their Ferro Shoes sneakers, we did an next big Bitcoin conference, or the one that's going to be in New York in November. I'm sure people will be wearing them and converging together to meet up just because they have the same shoes. Which would be the same in a virtual world. Oh, you got same skin, same type of stuff. Like you meet up together, you do the same Fortnite dance and stuff like that. So we still use it as a status item and a community item, and we still think a bit of the real world, because we're not there yet, right? We're not there to a fully digital life. So that's why we still do physicals, and what we always link it to is that in video games, you have like most of the games are sold purely digital on Steam, PlayStation Store, Microsoft. How do they call it now? Like, I don't even remember how they call their marketplace, but anyway. But you still have this physical edition on Blu-ray that come with the collector edition and the figurine, and the super cool thing you want to display if you're a geek in your office and stuff. So we treat really the physicals like these super collectibles for people who want to still have a tangible thing linked to their NFT, but we always put the main and all the effort on the NFT itself, and the physical thing is just something that's spawned out of it. So just another utility, but we put it at the same level than having it in game or like other utilities we could develop for the NFTs.